And just like that, we are into May celebration. Two big anniversaries are being celebrated this month. Star Wars is celebrating its 45th anniversary, and Morrowind, my favorite computer game of all time, is celebrating its 20th anniversary. So all my streams during this month are going to be either Star Wars or Morrowind content. And I just knocked over my camera by accident, so we'll have to do a quick adjustment when we get things started. But I thought I would kick things off with a little bit of a low-tech, a build stream. Many years ago, there was a pocket model game called Star Wars Pocketmodels. There haven't been many pocket model games in the history of collectible games. Pirates was the big one, and my splash screen actually features the 6 promo 10 masters that were released as promos for the Pirates pocket models. But today we'll be building some of the Star Wars pocket models. It's not easy to come by information for this game, but there's still a market for some of the cards on eBay. So let's go ahead and get started. 1 second, I have a notification. Alright, let's switch over to my camera and make sure it's still in a good position. No, it's not. There's a reason I have the camera pointed at my desk today. Let's see, and yeah, you need to be able to see my hands. I'm trying to recreate the position I had before stream, before I accidentally... Alright. It's good enough. And this other camera over here, that's my last build camera. I'll just stick the mouse off as far as I can. And I've wasted enough time already, so let's get into our first build. And our first build is going to be this card, which is a Lambda Shuttle. And based on these instructions I've pulled up, one of the more complicated builds in the whole game. So let me see. I want to do this in a controlled, organized manner. So this piece is the rear engine block. And then you're supposed to put these pieces on like this. And I'm going to do my best to show what I'm doing. There's a reason I tried to position the camera right where my hands are going to be. Alright, and I'm no stranger to pocket models, because I've done a couple hundred of the pirate ships. Well, or I should say ships from the Pirates line. Some of them are American, French, Spanish, and English and cursed. But there's a lot more different vehicle types that were released as part of the Star Wars line. All of them different. What was I? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to attach the wings or something. Okay. Oh, I forgot to show you. This card is silver in color, and and some of the cards are black in color, and some of the cards are gold in color. This has nothing to do with the vehicles themselves. They're whatever color they were in the story. But the different colored cards just mean that the blacks are common cards, the silvers are uncommon cards, and the golds are rare cards. They had a rarity distribution just like most collectible games. So these are supposed to be put in like this. So you can see there's a little chevron shaped slot. That's where the 2 wings go. Lambda is known for having folding wings in the movie. Pocketmodels didn't do moving parts. But the Lambda shuttle is such an iconic shape. It's an iconic vehicle from first seen in Return of the Jedi, but later seen in a lot of other media to represent the Empire as well. It was from my understanding, it was a very good shuttle. So we'll put this wing assembly back here because this next step shows that I want to take the base piece. Actually, I don't want to put that one on yet. Okay. Alright, these next little bits are going to be a little bit tricky. First, there's this front of the cockpit piece here that we have to line up on these pieces here. It says I have to slightly bend them to shape the cab. I think my terminology is correct. Cab being, of course, the area where the pilots sit at the front of the shuttle. I'm getting Pirates Chinese junk flashbacks from this model. You'll understand what, if you know the Pirates game, you'll understand what I mean by that. Most of the models are easier than this one, and we should be able to breeze through them. Some of the bigger vehicles, like this one, take up a whole card. Other smaller vehicles have up to 4, depending on vehicle size. Alright, so we got the front of the cab on. Now I gotta get this piece on. And I can't tell from the instructions. You can see the middle slot is a bit longer than the outer slots, and I can't tell from the instructions which way it's supposed to face. So I'm going to take a guess, and I'm going to slide this on here. Alright, so that we've got the body of the shuttle now. And now I'm going to try and put in the stand on the slot on the bottom of the shuttle. That went well. And you can see, if you look closely, you can see on the stand there's a Imperial insignia, because this is an Imperial vehicle. There's ground vehicles too. The ground vehicles don't have this stand-looking neck piece. They just attach, the ground vehicles just attach directly to the base plate. So now, the last things to do for our little shuttle here. are to put the top wing on, which is tricky to do because I can't really grip it, and I'm really nervous about breaking these things. That's a thing that happens with pocket models sometimes, is if you grip them the wrong way when building them, you can snap pieces. And it's making concerning snapping noises. Alright, it went in all the way. And I don't care if the bit on the back was facing the right way or not, because at this point... Alright. I'm getting a notification from OBS that I dropped and reconnected. Let me see, am I still streaming? Yeah, I'm still streaming. I have no idea how long I was out for. But that's a little concerning because I've been having issues this week overall. So yeah, the last things to do are to take the back wing block. And how does that... And that slides on to... That's supposed to go on somehow. I can't even see what it's trying to point at. I think it's just supposed to... There we go. It snaps into the back like that. And then the last thing to do is to put... them on the stand like this. Let's try putting the neck piece onto the stand first, and then putting that on the ship. Because I can't get this. This neck piece feels like it's going to be tight. Okay, a 20-second interruption. That's not bad. I know you can't stay long, so is there anything you really, really want to see? Because I'll be doing this for a few hours, but I know that there's probably some things you particularly want to see. So, it's good we're doing this one first, because this is one of the harder ones, which means now that we know the difficulty scope, we'll be able to do other harder ones without as much difficulty later. So there we go, an Imperial Shuttle. Let's see. Can't really angle it well from that camera, but I'll put it over here in the last built cam. Do I have the Corellian Corvette? You mean like the Princess Leia's Tantive 4? Is that what you're referring to? I'll have to check my stack. Alright, let me check my stack. I mean, the show's pretty much yours as long as you're here. As long as I have the stuff in my stack. There's going to be some randomization later. Okay, I have this one. This is not actually the Tantive 4 game piece. This is a ship called the Razor. But the Tantive 4 was one of the rare gold background cards. Alright, let me see if I can get the instructions. Corvette. Yeah, this doesn't look nearly as complicated. It's got like this big, fancy structural thing going on for the engine area, but the rest of the body is pretty flat on this model. That's the interesting thing about pocket models. Some of the models were engineered that are mostly flat parts with some layering for dimension, and other models like this Imperial Shuttle were given pretty much full dimensions. I guess it depends on the space, the engineering they could afford to do with the space of the card. Okay, what's going on here? So there's a whole bunch of different engine. We want these engine blocks with the slots for this first step. So we're going to insert this into the back like this. I think. Yeah. And then there's another, yeah. There's another piece of the interior engine. And then there's pieces of the, yeah, this engine block is really well engineered compared with the rest of the ship. So the Imperial Shuttle is just chilling in the last built cam. For multi-ship cards, I'll do my best to arrange all the vehicles in the last built cam. All right, and then there's two outer engine pieces apparent. Yeah, here they are. And of course, the Corvette built for speed would have a lot of engines going on. Let me make sure there's no, yeah, there's no black side on these. For ships with full dimensions, the black side goes on the inside. Yeah, no point printing a piece of a card that isn't going to always be visible. So yeah, and the Pirates game did that too. So like the insides of the masts, like the masts are printed both sides, but the insides of the ship's hull are printed one side. Alright, this engine piece does not want to come out. Alright. And with these two engine pieces, you're then supposed to add these big engine blocks. I like how in the prequel trilogy, they had vehicles that were clearly precursors of the vehicles you see in the original trilogy. For example, the Republic transport from the opening scene of Episode 1 is clearly related to these later Corellian Corvettes, while clearly also not being the same ship. Do I have all the slots out? I do. So now, gotta build these engine blocks. Or I should say, this engine block. The big outer engines. Well, I'm already 20 minutes in, and I'm only on my second model. Man. But then again, so this actually slid on pretty easy. Okay, so just a couple pieces left to do. We have to get the bridge piece off onto the body of the ship. And I can't tell which way it's supposed to be forward. It's also not. Okay. It's not clear from the engines whether... Well, the engines are identical top and bottom, it looks like. But this side is clearly the top of the ship, and you can tell because you can see the guns on it. Now this is a little tiny piece, and the tiny pieces are always the hardest to work with because they're the hardest to grip. You kind of want to wedge it in from an angle, no pun intended. Alright. That's as smooth as it's going to be, but it's pretty flush. It's not perfectly flush, but it's... Let's see if I can get it on camera. Yeah, that piece is not totally flush, but it's smooth enough. It's not bigger than the shuttle. I mean, I don't know what they are in terms of in-universe scale relation to each other, on account of the fact that in this game, given that they all come on the same size card, so they're not exactly to scale. But and you'll see when we build the Venator that they're not to scale at all. But there's capital ships in this game too, also printed on the same size card. But the Lambda Shuttle and the Corellian Corvette are both transports. Alright, how is this connecting? I'm not seeing how this is supposed to connect. Oh, one moment. Am I supposed to just BS it on a slot? I don't see a distinct connection slot. Yeah, I think I am just supposed to slide it. So, here's the Corellian Corvette. Let me move this into the last build. Is there anything else you particularly want to see, or should I pick something random? So that's how it looks. It's not looking quite as impressive from the side because it's mostly flat, except for the engines and the little bridge area. Well, if you only got time for one more, I want to make sure you get to see the one you want to see. I got capital ships, starfighters, more of this medium class transport, whatever you want. Whatever you want to see, I can build. Do one that's complex. Let me pick out a ground unit then. Okay, here's a nice iconic ground unit. The Jawa Sandcrawler. They only ever printed one of these, I think. But it was only an uncommon, so it's relatively easy to come by. Alright, instructions. But this will at least give you a sense for what ground units are like. You can see, unlike the space units, which have that little neck section to lift them off, you can see the ground unit will plug directly into the base unit. This is another complex-ish one that will involve me trying to match shapes to the picture. So what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing the shapes very clearly. I probably should punch them out so I can see the shapes more clearly. That's probably the best call for this one. I recognize that shape from this first step. And I know you can't stay for the whole stream, so if you check back the VOD tomorrow, or today's the 4th, so this will be going up to YouTube midnight Friday. You'll be able to see everything else that I end up doing. Seeing as we're already about a half hour in and I'm only on my 3rd card, I have a feeling I'm not getting to everything. But I'll do as much of it as I can. let's see, we need this piece, and why is this piece not punching out? So there's a piece on here that feels like it may not have been punched all the way. How essential is this piece? Kind of essential. Let me see if I can nudge it out with the corner of another card. No, that's not doing. So yeah. It's really odd to find a pocket model card where one piece wasn't punched all the way through and the rest of the card was. So let me just... Alright, I got that one to pop out. And then there's one more piece that I have to nudge out. This is kind of a crucial piece in terms of the overall design. Did the cutter not? I can see. Alright. I'll bend the card a little bit to get it out. This isn't a crucial connector piece, but it is kind of an important detail piece. Alright. I've somehow almost forced it out. No pun intended. But I got it out. Alright. And question, is this part of the piece? No, it's not. So there we go. Alright, the piece is free. The stuck piece is free. Let's take a little drink and then get right into building this. Alright, so it's this piece. Is that the piece? No, it's not. We want these two pieces. And this looks like an internal structure piece, I think. But this looks like the piece I want. So it looks like these are internal frame pieces that hold the rest of it together. And then this, we double layer the treads in these two slots here. All right, let's try lining them up and then putting them in together so I don't accidentally knock them out. Yeah, that's how to do it. So let's find my other two tread pieces. Did I actually put them facing the right way, though? Does it even matter with these little pieces that are mostly going to be covered over, except for the very bottoms? I'm trying to keep this on camera, but sometimes with smaller pieces, that's not... They get lost in my fingers. All right. The treads are on. And now we get side panels. And then there's a back panel and then another side panel. Is this the back panel? Yes. Oh wait, I think these are supposed to line up with the bottom though. Alright, so those the treads on this side are clearly not in all the way. There we go. Now that lines up better, so let's get the other side panel on. Alright, and then there's did I not put those in correct? No, these are supposed to be, did I not slot those correctly? I think they're supposed to be slotted a little deeper, I think. Because then there's this other piece. Alright, which way is that facing? I can't really tell. But then this goes over the other pieces. Yeah, that's looking right. So now we come here. And the distinctive shape of the sandcrawler is coming together now. And then there's this little piece up here, which I think is to... Alright. And now for the front pieces. Okay, so this is the piece I had trouble getting out before. That goes like that. And then there's a little tinier piece somewhere on this desk. Hold on. Did I drop the piece? Give me one moment. I think I dropped a piece. Yeah, I dropped it. A piece so tiny that's easy to lose track of. And that goes right there. So yeah, you can see the front of the sandcrawler is also now starting to come together. And then there's these side panels, which, how are they showing up? Like this. I think I'm going to do some of the easier models next and come back to some of the more advanced ones later, because I just did, I'm already 35 minutes into stream? Really? How did that happen? Alright, so these pieces go on like that. And then there's this roof piece that comes on the top like this. And then one more roof piece that goes on over on the front of the top like that. And then the whole thing plugs into the base. But how? Ah, the tab that sticks out from the center. So you can see there's a little tab sticking out from the center of the treads. We just line that up with the base like this. If I can. Oh. It's not staying. Hold on. Are the interior treads not pushed in all the way? That's the thing with pocket models. Sometimes the tabs just don't want to go in. And forcing them is never a good idea. Sometimes you just got to play with them a little bit. Everything else seems to be lined up correctly. So I'm not sure why I can't get to this one little tab. From the bottom, the treads look like there's clearance in there. Let's try this again. Almost. I heard a little bit of a... why is it not attaching to the base? There, I've exposed a little more of the tab. Okay, so I got it to go onto the tab, but I can't get it to stay on. Well, it's not perfectly straight, but it's kind of on there. Let's just say the sandcrawler is going over a dune or something, I guess. All right, let's move it to the last build. And I'll go ahead. Yeah, there's a Jawa sandcrawler. And while we're on the subject of Tatooine, I'm going to go ahead and do the Landspeeder and the Skyhopper, which come together on this card and are probably simpler. And they only ever got this one printing. Skyhopper, not so much. All right, so it looks like most of the card is the Skyhopper, so I'll start with that. And they both have ground unit bases. The Skyhopper is technically a flyer, but it does atmospheric. It doesn't do space. All right, good to know that that the central piece of the Skyhopper is one big chunk. That might be helpful. And you'll have noticed that some of the cards have flames on them. I'm not worried about those. That's for if you want to do battle damage on your models. All right, let's do the Skyhopper first, and then I'll punch the Landspeeder. All right. Okay, what's going on here? This piece. All right, I think that's pointing to this piece, but I can't really tell. Yeah, there's nothing else like it on the instruction. No, I think this piece goes under the gun like this. Oh, that's clever. A very little tiny disc piece to put at the back of the gun to make the gun looks like it has some depth. That's actually a pretty clever piece of design right there. I actually think it's pointing at this piece for the instructions right there. Yeah, because then there's a tab to put the next piece on top of this. So it turns out the Skyhopper is a semi-complicated model that doesn't take up a whole card. But I think I'm getting this one. I think, yeah, and then that goes there. And then these two pieces on the sides, I think, are supposed to represent the engines. Uh, so there's slots there and there. That doesn't look right. Oh no, I see how it is. They're actually supposed to be put, these two pieces are actually supposed to be put through the big piece like this. But you have to insert them at an angle to make them fit. I wanna be able to have good access to there, so let me slide that piece off so I can focus on trying to manipulate these two engine pieces into place. What if I insert it sideways and then try and push it up? Does that make them go in? I want to make sure. No, it's trying to put it in the wrong slot. All right, let's try it. Yeah, there it goes. And then I do the same thing with this piece. All right, the engine pieces are in. So let's put this little section back into place. And now from there, I can come in and take these wing pieces. And the wing have a similar trifold design to the Lambda. And because there's two models on this card, they'll share the last built section. Given how late it's getting, I'm going to move on to something random for my essential stack next before I go back into the random stack. But really, I could keep this going for a little while. I'm not tired yet. All right, so the wings are on. And then I just have to put on these side panels here over the wings. Like that. And then I have to put on front panels. That doesn't look like it's lined up right. Does this one go on this side maybe? Careful, you don't want to break things. So this one has a little bit of the space neck built in, but it's actually going to go on a ground plate. Yeah, that looks like it fits shape a little bit better like that on that side. So now we'll come around to this last slot in the front. And I will push this in. And then I'll stick it on the base. And the area in front of the last build is big enough that I should be able... Oh yeah, the numbers on the base, they just represent stats for the actual game that was played with these pieces. But there's the T-16 Skyhopper. We'll move that into the last built area. And since it shares a card, we'll try and put both the vehicles into the last built area. Alright, so now for the Landspeeder, which was the other model on this card, which is a lot fewer pieces. And by a lot fewer, I mean... literally 6 pieces plus base. So 7 pieces. Hold on, I got a notification. Alright, so let's see here. Alright, so one of these pieces has slightly longer engine stick outs. This one. And then one of these pieces is clearly the bottom. Yeah. Because you can see the black sides on here. So this one is clearly the bottom because it doesn't have the sitting area on it. So we're supposed to line these up. And then stick them through this piece. This piece is shaped a bit like Darth Maul's speeder from Episode 1, which never got actually made in the game. I'm gonna try sliding these into position one at a time. It might be easier than trying to manipulate the triple thickness. Yeah. That one's going in, but it's not going in flat. There it goes. Alright, that layer is in. Careful, don't want to lose my engine pieces. The Millennium Falcon is built a little bit like this too, with the different layers giving it thickness. We saw that also a little bit with the Sandcrawler treads, but in a vertical rather than a horizontal format. So yeah, you can see the back engine sticks out, and now these little side engines just have to be put into position. I'm not seeing how they go on the clip though, and the picture doesn't make it clear how they're supposed to be plugged in. Just that they're supposed to be plugged into these little bits that stick off the middle piece. Oh, I see how it's supposed to slot in. All right, the first engine is on, and the second engine is on. No, the second engine is being put on. And because it shared a card with the Skyhopper, I'm going to try and put them on the last build cam together. Same deal for all the multi-vehicle cards. I feel like I haven't really done a capital ship yet, but I want to save some of the more iconic stuff for later because I'll be here for a few hours. So let's get the Landspeeder slotted onto the base. There it is. And we'll stick the base down here. We'll put it right here. Yeah, that's a nice shot in the... It's a little close. That's a nice shot, I think, in the last build cam. All right. Yeah, I hope you check out the VOD and see all the other cool stuff that comes out tonight. The VOD will be available on Twitch for 2 weeks, and it'll be available starting Friday on the YouTube. All right, let me throw out my drink. That's empty. Yeah, it's going to be a multiple hour affair, so you might want to break it up into chunks because I know you're busy. But let me throw out my drink and then I'll get back to it. All right, what do I want to build next? Let's return to space, shall we? I want to do... It's too early for those iconic ones. But given I've been doing this for almost an hour, I think I might top load the priority stack. All right, so there's 3 models on this next card. I have... This card is a Y-Wing. They actually did 2 Y-Wing models over the run. This is the Rebel version. I don't have the Clone Wars version. And it also comes with 2 Tige Interceptors. A multi-model card means I build all the models. So let me pull up my instructions. So yeah, of the standard TIE fighters that are actually shown in the original trilogy, of which there were 4 different kinds, I think the Interceptors look the coolest, but there's no beating the iconic original TIE fighter in terms of iconicness. All right, so let's start with the Tige Interceptors. Now the Tige Interceptors, you'll see, are a very easy build. Oh. Just 5 little pieces. The base. Let me actually... You can see how tiny this little piece representing. That's clearly the back of the ship, I think. Yeah, that's the front of the ship. And you can tell that's the outside of the wing because of the cannon. So yeah. So the Tige Interceptor is a very basic build. All the ties are this basic flat cockpit piece, and then you attach the wings 4 dimensions. And then you just put it on the base. And my stack does include all 4 of the TIE variants shown in the original trilogy. I mean, obviously, in both Legends and Disney canon, there's many dozens of TIE variants that were not seen in the movies. Let's get this base piece going, though. For some reason, this tab is not cooperating. And here I was thinking the Y-Wings were going to be easy. Okay. Or did I say Y-Wing? I meant Tige Interceptor. Alright, the neck went into the base. So now all I have to do is attach the ship itself to the base. Now, the TIEs were always a swarm craft, which is why they always come 2 to a card. The bombers, the advanced, and the regular TIE fighters also come 2 to a card with whatever rebel ship they're paired with. Okay, let's clear out the last build cam and start filling it in with an attack with my TIE Interceptor attack fleet. These I kind of want to show from kind of the front, slightly angled like that, I think. All right, now let's do the other Interceptor on the card. Okay. That stand cooperated a lot easier. All right, there's the front of the wing. Let's see. If I remember my outside movie information correctly, the Imperial Royal Guards were given red TIE Interceptors. All right. Ah, shoot. No, that's a complete snappage. No way to finish that tie. At least we got one TIE Interceptor done, right? Let me find the piece I just dropped. So yeah, snappage is going to happen with pocket models sometimes. So I'll just set this one aside. At least we got one TIE Interceptor complete. Let's go ahead and do the Y-Wing now. I have a feeling I'll snap a few more ties before the night is over. So the Y-Wing is just a total of 6 pieces. Looks like a bridge piece, a cockpit, 2 engine pieces, the body piece, and the 2 pieces for the base. So, wow, I just passed the hour mark. All right. So slight change in agenda. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole priority stack because at some point I am going to start getting tired. And when I finish the priority stack, I'll pick cards. I'll pick and choose cards from the optional stack until I'm too tired to continue. But I could keep going for a little while. I also have a feeling that things might pick up in speed as I've warmed up as we get farther into it. I hope not all the neck pieces for the space bases are going to give me this trouble, because this is now like the third or fourth base piece that I had trouble slotting in. There it goes. Now for the ship itself. Yeah, that's clearly the top side. Oh, this one's got some cool markings on the front. This is Gold Squadron, it says. So we put the cockpit in. I see a little drone dome in the back there. I want to make sure I line this up correctly. Yeah, all right. Like I said before, tiny pieces are kind of difficult to work with, even if lined up correctly. All right, no notifications. Let's proceed. All right, that slot lined up, so it shouldn't be too much trouble to get this tab into place as well. All right, the bridge piece is almost settled. Yep, it's flat. And now we're going to put the slide these engine bits on. Let's see. Trying. My light's not great over here. But I think the engine slots on like that. And then this engine will slot onto the other side. And then the whole unit will peg into the base here. And it looks like the astromech dome is actually this little bit sticking out of the base tab. Let's see if I can't get this section lined up without snapping anything. Nope, that piece fell out, but it didn't snap, so it'll be fixable. And once you slot something in, no, it's not that. That's still the droid. The droid is right here, right behind the cockpit. That's just a little bit of the back of the cockpit area. Once you slot two pieces together, if they then come apart, it's easier to reslot them afterwards. So it shouldn't be too hard to line up the base. Good enough. Let's put it in the picture with the with the Interceptor. There's my little Y-wing. Here, I'll show it off on camera first. Looks pretty good for being mostly flat. And we'll put that like that. And then the Interceptor will come along in front. Like that. Or we can even do it like this with the Interceptor coming in from behind. I think is a better composition. There's really no way to do these two on camera together pretty good. So let's just move on to the next card. Let's go ahead and do the Slave One, also known as the Fire Spray. This is the Slave One in Jango's colors. They also released a Slave One in Boba's colors. This one I am going to punch pieces as I need them, rather than all at once. Because this one looks like I don't want to get the loose pieces messed up. Oh, interesting. And I'll tell you what I meant by interesting when we finish this model. So right now we're working on the Slave One, aka the Fire Spray. That's all supposed to be flush through, isn't it? Yeah, and then this tab sticks out the back. All right. Right now it's kind of shaped a bit like an elephant head. But that can change. That's going to change as we build it up. So now there's these wing pieces on the sides. And they slot in. Like this on the side. All right. And then there's this back engine plate. Let me go ahead and take out the rest of the ship now as well. Ah, yes, and we need this piece. This piece came with a lot of the battle damage fire pieces, but we're not worried about that today. So here's another engine layer that goes in behind the wings. Oh, wait. Oh, I know what that little hole's for. Oh, I missed the little gun piece. It's one of those little tiny pieces like we had on the Sandcrawler. That if you don't know it's there, you'll forget it's there. And this little tiny piece, so tiny in fact that you can't even see it on the screen because it's buried by my fingers, even though I'm holding it very gently. And we're just going to gently wiggle the gun into position. There's the gun. And then we have these little pieces that go at the front of the engines. I thought I was in the slot. Guess I'm not. Yeah, the slot's there, so I don't know why it didn't go in all the way. Let's try that again. There it goes. So now there's the Slave 1. And we gotta set up the base now. And the thing I was saying is so interesting about this model is that according to the instructions, you can put it on the base in either configuration. And by that I mean, I'll show you. Yeah, all right, the base looks lined up. All right, the base is lined up. You can either put the Slave 1 on the base in flight configuration like this, because it flies in the vertical configuration, or you have the option. Hold on, I just popped the base piece out again. Of putting it on the base like that's what that tiny little hole was for. Like this, with it in its landing configuration, which is how I'm going to keep it on the base for purposes of the last build camera. So Slave 1 is going into the last build camera. And now I'm going to while we're in the prequel era, let's go ahead and build. Let's build a Venator class Star Destroyer, because I was unable to secure an Imperial class Star Destroyer. Yeah. The only Imperial class Star Destroyer I could find for sale that wasn't the pre-built promo was going to be $20 on its own. So I decided to skip it, unfortunately. But so many other iconic vehicles tonight, so. Alright. Where to begin with this one? We'll start with this piece. Which will slot into the this engine piece. And then there's another piece that slots in to this section as well, which looks like more engines. So that comes along. I get the feeling I was supposed to put this piece in before the other piece, but yeah. Let's try putting this piece into the engine block first. Yeah, that went in. Wait a minute. I have the engine facing the wrong way. I just realized this is the back of the vehicle. And then this piece goes in the slot like this. And then lines up with the other piece. I think something like that. And then these engine blocks also line up on the slots like this. Same thing on this side. And then we put in these big wing pieces. But they're not really wings, they're more like the sides of the ship. And they tab on where exactly? To the tabs on the engine block. Same thing on this side. Now, even though it looks to be about the same size as the Corvette we built earlier, hold on. Even though it looks to be about the same size, just a little bit longer than the Corvette we built earlier, it's actually much, much larger. This is what's known as a capital ship. No, I was right. I just couldn't see the engine printing. So yeah, yeah, because you can see those little engines printed on the. You can see those little engines printed on the back piece. So I was right. It's just because that back piece is mostly black to begin with. I got confused for the interior because I didn't see the engine piece at first. So now we have a ship that looks a bit like something out of, I saw in an Old Republic illustration once. But let's proceed with putting this final piece on. And this final piece here, it slots, well, it's not quite the final piece, but it slots in to these three pieces on the back. And then there's a little clip piece in the front of the ship that you then tab into these to kind of hold these three pieces, the three body pieces in shape. And this little tiny clip piece, that's pretty much buried in my fingers, is absolutely essential, because otherwise your Venator is going to be a floppy mess. So So let's connect the side pieces, and then the top piece is gonna plug into position. And then I take the whole piece and then I slot it into the base. This particular Venator class Star Destroyer, according to the base, is called Integrity. Something that the Republic turned out not to have a lot of once it became the Empire. Kind of. Depends on who you ask. But there we go. This is the closest thing to a Star Destroyer that I have on available to build on stream today. This was prominent in Episode 3 during the Battle of Coruscant. You saw these, and also in the Clone Wars series. Alright, Slave 1 is moving off of last build so that the Venator can move in. Alright. Next, we're going to do alright. Oh. Alright, this one doesn't look too hard. So, this card is Imperial Speeder Bikes. Even though there's 3 of the speeder bikes, they go as a group on the same base, and also an Atst. I chose this particular card because I had a few available of this card. I chose this one because it's got a really cool camo pattern on it. So I'm going to build the speeder bikes first. And I'm going to make 4 little piles of parts. I'm really not concerned about time tonight. It's May the 4th celebration. So I'll keep this going until I absolutely can't stay awake anymore. But these are definitely taking a lot longer to build than I thought they would. And I'm so glad I made a priority stack rather than trying to commit to building everything. So the plan at this point is to finish the priority stack and then start picking out different things from the optional stack. The level of detail printed on these is amazing. You can see, for example, you can see that the speeder bike has a guy sitting on the back of it. He doesn't get his arms or legs until we put the side pieces on the bike, though. It is, after all, a dimensional craft. Alright. And then we just, how does these go in? They slot in from the back. I can't really tell from the picture how these other pieces slot in. Let's see. Oh no, they definitely slot in from the back. Yeah, and you can see, if I can position it correctly, you can see how his arm appears to be coming out of his body now. Same deal on the other side. These missed the slot. Try that again. Wow. Why is it not going in? Does the slot not have clearance? Oh. The tab's not broken, but it appears that this one's arm broke off. So this one I'm going to put in the middle to hide that, I guess. Why isn't it going in the slot? I'll come back to that one. Let's work on his two co-workers. Now that's not in all the way. I can see his arm is like sticking out of his head right now. Wow, these speeders require tiny fingers. Ah, you know what? We're going to take a pass on the speeders. We're going to go right into the Atst. The speeders, while iconic, are not top level iconic, so in my opinion. So instead, we're just going to go straight to the Atst. The Atst is the first of several Walker-type vehicles I have in these stacks. There's only one of them in the one more of these in the priority stack. I bet you guys know which one. But there's a couple other Walker types. I think 3 of them in the optional stack from the Clone Wars era. Venator is still sitting there like a boss. That one looks good on camera. So for the Atst, okay, it looks like this is the central piece, maybe. But if it's the central piece, where's the slot? This doesn't look like the slot got punched all the way on here. There we go. There's the slot. And then there's this little gun piece in the front. And then these little leg pieces go in the back because, hey, Walker. You'll notice that the leg pieces aren't exactly symmetrical. So this vehicle is actually going to be in kind of an action pose, it looks like. Yeah, one leg is definitely forward in this pose. And then there's a forward piece with guns here that goes into this slot above the central gun. And from this piece, the shell pieces get added. Shell piece on that side. And then a piece over here. And then the top piece. Okay, why is it not going on? Let's try that again. This top piece is supposed to slot into the top here. There it goes. As you can see, like the pirate ships, the Atst doesn't have adequate space to be able to put in enough pieces to actually close it all the way. You can actually see inside the framework inside that makes up the model with this one, both from the back and from the front. Still looks great from the side. And now you can see the foot, the 1 foot is printed directly on the base plate. So we will slot in the Atst. And actually, I want to do this carefully, so I'm just going to slot in the leg and then put it back on. And then the other leg has a foot piece that came off too. The other leg has a matching foot piece that it slots into. But where is... Did the slot not come out all the way? Yeah, there it goes. So now let's put the legs back on the unit. Now that I have them in feet. The fact that they came off the unit means that they weren't slid in, probably weren't slid in all the way in the first place. Or I loosened them while putting the body pieces on. Alright, there it goes. This leg is still loose. This leg appears to have slotted in okay, though. Yeah, even pushed in the way, all the way, it's loose. Also, the foot is not in correct position. There. All right, I fixed that foot, but this other foot came off the base plate. That's not good. The foot became twisted. Trying to insert it into the base plate again is going to break it clean off. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. We're going to insert this little stump into the tab here. And we will make that. And with a printed foot, it's not going to be that big a deal. And we will make the walker go in mid-step like that. Nice little improvisation to solve the issue. And I've just messed up this camera as well. But that's okay because we're switching the highlight on the camera anyway. So we are going to put the Atst on camera from the side. And we are going to bring out the X-Wing and Classic TIE Fighter card. Because we're almost 2 hours into stream. And this is about as iconic as you can get for starfighters in Star Wars. So the TIE Fighter builds just like the Tige Interceptor. And just like the Tige Interceptor, there's 2 of them. I'm going to try not to snap it this time. X-Wings and TIE Fighters are about as iconic as you can get. They were introduced. They were the starfighters introduced in the very first Star Wars movie. And there were some Y-Wings in that battle too. But we only saw classic TIE Fighters in that. We didn't see any of the variants. They came in the later movies. Oh, we did see one variant. We saw Darth Vader's TIE Advanced. Okay, why is the base piece not going in? This is kind of concerning. Alright, after this, there's 2 more things in the priority stack. So let's go ahead and get that done and see how I feel. Get the X-Wing and TIE Fighter done, these last 2 priority cards, and then see how I feel. I'd like to build some of the optional cards. Alright, finally got the base to go. Maybe not. That's as good as it's going to be. I hope it holds. Okay, that's clearly. So this one, the cockpit is printed a little off-center, as if they're trying to give it a little bit of depth or something. And these don't have extra guns on the wings, so it doesn't matter which way you face the wings. That was close. That wing almost snapped off. And I'm trying to be careful here. But this card feels tight. I hope I can get it to go, because this is my only X-Wing card. And usually if one piece on a card is tight, the whole card is tight. There we go. Just gently slot it into the base. And then the whole thing came off. I thought I had finally gotten it into the base. Guess I have to fix things again. I can't even, my fingers are too fat to even hold this properly to try and, alright, got it. The Atst just got there, so I'll just stick this in behind the Atst. There's a little bit of an iconic TIE fighter for you in the background there. Let's do the other TIE fighter on this card. Like the Y-Wing card, there's a 2 TIEs, but only one of the Rebel Starfighter. Probably because it's so much bigger. Fat fingers is not good when you're dealing with pocket models. It makes the precision work so terrifying to do. The fact that the cockpits are printed slightly off-center on these 2 TIE fighters, but in opposite directions, suggests to me that it was a technique to try and add a little dimensionality to the otherwise flat pieces. One thing, alright, that went on without too much trouble. Let's get it onto the base. And just like the other ship, the base piece fell off, but this base piece cooperated more to begin with. So I might be able to get back into position without too much difficulty. There we go. And it will come here, join its squad mate, as we come over here and build our X-Wing. Our X-Wing actually looks like a relatively simple build, not too much trouble. The base plate says that this is the X-Wing that was flown by Biggs Darklighter. Sad to see what happened to him in the movie. Luke's childhood friend. Killed in action as soon as they were reunited. Alright, so X-Wing. Okay, so I presume the red marks are supposed to be... I can't tell which way is supposed to be forward on here. But what I can tell is that the wings slot into this piece. Like that. Like that. The front piece of the ship plugs directly into the base plate. I got one shot at getting an X-wing going well. Let me try and widen that slot. Sometimes when the slots are too tight, you can take the corner of another card and stick it in the slot to try and widen it. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. I need a place where the plastic is thick. There we go. See how I slide that onto the corner? That means I shouldn't have any more resistance from that slot when trying to put the other piece on. I'm still getting resistance. The resistance was another group to use X-Wings. Unfortunately, the Pocket Models line was discontinued several years before Disney put out their first Star Wars movie. Okay, that didn't widen the slot because the tab is not going in still. Well, I tried to use the same card, so, and that same card would be the same thickness. You'd think the slots should be punched with uniform thickness. There's a separate card. The last two cards on the priority pile are, in fact, the gold background, are both gold background rare cards. Once we get this base, once we get this front part of the ship into the base, it should be a simple matter to slide the engine block into the back of the ship. And then we'll have a complete X-Wing. Why is it not going? This is my only X-Wing card. I need it to work. Like with the Lambda shuttle, the wings don't actually fold. There was one Star Wars pocket model which did involve moving parts, and that was a Vulture Droid, as seen in Episode 1, that could be configured for either its ground attack mode or its space flight mode. So that one had legs that could be repositioned into wings. Almost. But the slot is still giving me quite a bit of resistance. And I don't want to accidentally start punching the next card. The slot should be nice and wide now. All right. This is kind of upsetting, really. All right, it went in finally. So now we're going to take the engine block. It didn't go in straight though, it's crooked. That's as good as it's going to be. We're going to take this engine block and try and slide it into the back of the X-Wing without disrupting any pieces that are already positioned on either side. Yep, that slid into place. We have an X-Wing! And if you look closely, you can even see the little droid spot on the back. Alright, let's take the Atst off of last build cam and put the X-Wing in here with the TIE fighters. Alright, and now for something truly iconic, perhaps the most iconic, one of the most iconic ships in Star Wars. It doesn't even look like that terribly difficult a build. The one and only Millennium Falcon. They actually printed one other ship of this class. The tricky thing with this one is that there's some tiny parts going on, detailing bits. But this one is like the Landspeeder in that the bulk of the vehicle is flat layers stacked together to make depth. So it says the first step is to put these little base pieces on. That base piece feels loose, like it's not going to stay. This one also feels really loose. Are we going to have the opposite problem with the Falcon that we had with the X-Wing, maybe? I hope not. So yeah, we're going to be past the 2-hour mark. In fact, we're just about on the 2-hour mark now by the time we finish the priority stack. So stream probably won't go much more than another hour, realistically. But I'll keep it going for as long as I can. So now we take this first layer and we stick it onto our base and line. And right off the bat, these base pieces came off, helping to line everything back up. Hopefully sandwich everything together. And then so that this slot can, yeah, it looks like the front tab is going to try to hold everything together. Still a little loose and wobbly. Now let's bring in the middle layers, or well, I should say the middle layer, which is divided into 2 pieces. And there's no printing on this middle layer because you won't be able to see it when the ship is complete anyway. Let's see here. Did I line that up correctly? Doesn't look quite correct. Yeah, there's an actual slot for the tab. Meanwhile, these back tabs are being kind of picky. No, that's not the word. Also, looks like this ship so thoroughly covers its base plate that's impossible to see the numbers when actually in play. Kind of interesting. It's a bit of a design flaw, but interesting. So yeah, these tabs are definitely supposed to go into the slots. All right, I got that piece lined up. And now this piece, I have to do the same thing on this side. All right, so, yep. So you can see the middle layer is lining up. And now I just got to take the top layer of the ship and line that up with all the tabs as well. And our Falcon is mostly together. One moment, I have a notification. Okay. It's almost together, but there's a few detail bits we have to put on. The first is the central gun, which goes on this slot in the top layer like that. And then also the signature dish. I don't even, honestly, this is such, well, it's an iconic part of the ship. It's such a tiny piece in the detail. I don't even know why they bothered. It's like that little tiny disc we put in front of the Skyhopper to give the gun depth, or that little tiny piece of the sandcrawler that I dropped on the floor because I thought it was a piece of scrap. That's how tiny this dish piece is. And all right, well, it went on that piece well enough. Can I wiggle this into the slot? Yeah. I think I have that. I think I have it backwards. And I just popped the stand off again. Man, those two stand pieces are loose. I don't know why. But the front one seems to be holding everything together. Not sure why the two back stand pieces are so loose. All right, let's try adding this in again. Oh, did I just do the whole thing off camera? I'm sorry. All right, that went in just fine, but it's a little bit loose. Well, it's on, so once it's on, leave it. There's our Falcon, Millennium Falcon. Fun fact, during the production of Solo, the movie Solo, the director invited George Lucas in to guest direct one of the scenes on the Falcon. I don't know which scene that was, though. Anyway, so we'll move the TIE fighters and the X-Wing out of last build. We'll put the Falcon into last build. it's kind of, we're going to go ahead and show this one sideways, I think. Because from the side, it really doesn't look like much. Yeah, that's good enough. All right. And the last of the priority cards before we start going into optional, less iconic but still iconic cards, is going to be this Atst. The probably the most iconic of all the walkers in Star Wars, and a symbol of one of the symbols of Imperial might and terror. This one I'm going to punch the pieces as I need them, just because there's too many bits on this one. Alright, so there's beginnings of an internal structure going on. Is that this piece? No, that is not this piece. Alright, what's this piece? Ah, this is the piece. So this makes up the bottom of the main body, I think. I want to be careful with this one too. This is another one I don't have any backups of in terms of vehicle type. Looks like it's supposed to hook in to be lined up properly. There we go. Alright. And then the next step is these leg pieces. Go into the side tab slots like this. And then this back leg piece. I hope I'm doing this right. It actually kind of stands a bit, even though we don't have the feet on yet. Alright, and then the next step is to put on a side panel like this. I think this is the one. I think this is the one that goes on this side. And then there's these slot into here. These make up the little head pilot area. And then there's another piece that goes in the back there. And these panels are in a precise order, so I don't want to pop them out till I actually need them. But yeah, this is the one that goes in the back. Is that supposed to be? Yeah, that's supposed to be a slot right there. And that slots into the back here. So yeah, the AT is beginning to take shape. That's what it looks like structurally from the inside so far. Oh boy. And now is where I bring in the panels. That are supposed to close up along the top. And that most decidedly is not one of these panels. But that's okay. This one is, and this one is. And it looks like this one is. Alright, so now let's see if I can line these up correctly. This back piece doesn't want to stay on. Let's do these top panels. Let's line up these top panels and then put the back piece back on. Yeah, pocket models are considerably more difficult when you have fat fingers. And these head pieces just slipped out. You know what? Let's go ahead and put in the piece that's supposed to hold the head pieces together. And now, if we try and line up these bits, that one slotted right in. That one went right in. And now that I got two pieces that cooperated right away, although could it be that this piece is supposed to go here? The slots might actually be of subtly different, a subtle different length. Yeah, because that one went right in. And then this one, yeah, went right in up there. Let's put this back panel back on. All right. So that's what it looks like so far. We're getting there with this guy. And now we take the other side panel and we just gently push that on into position. Making sure, of course, that all the tabs are lined up with the slots so that the whole thing is symmetrical once I put this piece on. Now that's nice, solid, chunky up there. But yeah, all right. So the main body portion of the AT-AT is now closed, and then the last steps to do are we got to close up the head panel here. So there's two panels to close up the head area, and then we got to put the feet and base on. But when it comes to walkers in Star Wars, the AT-AT is about as iconic as you get. And yeah, this front panel just slots over the front guns like that. And it just went flying off my table. Found it. Give me one moment. Falcon is still holding in its sideways position. That almost looks like a dynamic flight pose. If I didn't have the desk for a background, that would actually be a flight pose. Let's try. Alright, let's try building the head separately and then slotting it back in. Because clearly it wants to come off. And you know what? Let's put this other top piece of the head on first in an attempt to stabilize the head unit. Because once we get the head put together, all we have to do is finish the feet. Right now it looks like the one that got tripped on Hoth. Yes, there is a card which is Snow Speeders and Tauntauns. And I have it. It was planned to be done on stream tonight. But honestly, given how late it is, we probably won't get to that one. I want to do a little bit of the prequel stuff as well, because I haven't done much of that. I think at this point, the rest of the stream is going to be me flipping through my stack, picking out the really cool stuff that's left in the stack. And yeah, there's still a few more small fighters and craft that I want to do. Yep, the head is put together. Let's slot it back in to the... Alright. Almost there. Now we have to punch out the feet. As you can see, one of the feet is printed on the base plate. And that's supposed to be the rear right foot. So let's go ahead and connect these other foot pieces. So okay, that foot didn't want to go on that leg for some reason. I'll try it on this one. Yeah, slotted right in for that one. Don't know why. Don't know why this front foot isn't liking the feet pieces. I mean the front leg. And there's no obvious arrangement on the card itself. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take the leg off and try and attach the foot that way. Let's just see if the other... Let's just see if the other leg goes on the foot. Okay, this leg seems to be having some trouble too. All right. Okay, don't know why. All right, let's... Let's do the leg widening trick. I mean the slot widening trick. And I know what we're doing next. We're doing that one. Oh, I just... Let's see. Will the back leg at least cooperate with me? All right, so I have 2 legs that have feet. All right. Wow, we're well past the 2-hour mark. I'm not going to say this has potential to be one of my longest streams ever, because I really don't think we're going to make it anywhere close. My longest stream was 4.5 hours. I wonder, could it be that this foot was meant for this leg? Actually, these feet have totally different length slots. So it looks like they were meant specific feet for specific legs. But how would the average builder figure that out? Considering that the feet are pretty much all identical. Maybe I'm overthinking things. All right, 3 feet are placed. Yeah, colored side up. So if I can get this foot into position, we're ready to put the legs back on. Let's see if I can widen out that slot a little bit. I've pushed the corner of this other card all the way through, so wow, we've been going almost 2.5 hours. Almost. That one felt like it was starting to slide in a little bit. Let me go for ultimate widening. Give me a moment. Worst case scenario, we don't worry about this foot, but that's worst case scenario. I don't like going with the worst case if I don't have to. This is almost surgical in nature. All right. This last foot just does not want to go on a leg. There, I got it in. Or not. All right, leave it. So now all we have to do is put the legs back into the bottom of the walker. And of course one of the legs popped off. I mean, one of the feet popped off. But given its positioning, I might be able to use the base to hold it into place. Maybe. Okay, this is the leg, the foot that wasn't cooperating. So I'm going to slip it just over the base like that. And that will hopefully help hold it in place. So we finished the AT-AT finally. He says as the foot falls off again. Okay, why are we crooked? Alright. The Millennium Falcon's been out for a while. We'll replace it with the AT-AT. Alright. Alright, so the next thing, now that we've gone through all the priority builds, the rest of tonight is me just picking. We're going to build this. It's another Star Destroyer predecessor. This one, we did the Venator class transport earlier from the Clone Wars. This is another Clone Wars era transport called the Acclimator class, which was the first movie era Republic ship to use the wedge shape. Let's just get all my little pieces out. So yeah, one of the reasons I'm choosing this one to build is because I don't have an Imperial Star Destroyer. I wanted to get a couple of the capital ships going. And I have two of the Separatist capital ships as well. Maybe we'll get to one of them as well later. We'll see how we are on time. I kind of want to go. I kind of want to do a few of the Clone Wars era ground units, if time permits. But given that we've been going about 2.5 hours, I can't see the stream going too much terribly longer. Alright, so that's the engines in the back. So we want to have the black side facing in. They did print one. This is one of the, this was on a silver uncommon card. This particular transport is called the Implacable. They did print one Acclimator with gold foiling effects on it on a rare card. And that was Yoda's personal transport. I don't have that card. If I did have that card, that would have been the Acclimator chosen for the stream. Alright, so the engine block is in place. And so now there's a whole bunch of things going on in this step. First, it looks like the engines are, the engine block is connected to the base stand, or is it? No, there's some tab on here that's supposed to go into this base stand, and I'm not. See that slot? Is that the tab that's supposed? That tab looks too long for that. Yeah, that tab definitely looks too long for that slot. So I'm not sure which slot is supposed to go there, unless this is supposed to be. No, that seems like it's pushed in all the way. Is that the slot in the middle there? It appears to be. Okay. And then this front piece, unlike the Venator, this one has its front section as a solid piece. Wait a minute, no. This is the bottom. I'm doing this wrong. So it's supposed to be put in black side up. And that goes on the forward slot like that and pushes in like that. And so there's the bottom of the ship. And then there's a little connector piece in the front here. Yeah, so yeah, this one does have the 3 bits on top. However, because the Acclimator is a smaller transport than the Venator, they had a space on the card for a bottom piece as well. So the ship will have more stability. On the Imperial Star Destroyer model, I've seen a picture of it. The 2 wedge pieces take up pretty much the whole card. And so just a tiny bit of the card is left for the engine assembly and bridge tower. I wish I could have had one of those for stream. Honestly, though, it's coming up on midnight in a half hour, and I'm starting to get tired, so we're not going to do too many more of these cards. I might do a part 2 where I do the rest of my stack, but, alright, let's try attaching the piece and then putting it on. Because this one looks like it's going to be like the Venator, and if you don't use the connector piece, it's not going to hold together. It doesn't look like. It's just that this time the connector piece is trickier because it's even thinner than the other one and has to plug in against the bottom piece as well. Alright, I think it's in the bottom piece. It also looks like the slope is a little more subtle on this one than on the... Alright, I might do a part 2 of the build stream. Alright, alright. And then there's these little pieces as well that are supposed to slot in. Where do these slot in? Right by the bridge, it looks like. Probably to give the central section a little more depth is my guess for why these 2 little pieces exist. And then a matching one for this side. They don't look all that secure. They'll probably be held in place with the top pieces. And then it looks like on this one, you're supposed to do the narrow piece first, and the Venator was on top, and it looks like that Slots into this little slot here, I think. You know what, we'll just put the base back on at the end. As long as the tab lines up with the slot, that might be positioned correctly. There we go. Tabbed right in. And then we have the two top pieces. And these just slot in. Okay, let's try slotting from the front first, because it looks like things aren't lined up properly on the back. All right, that side went in. So let's put in this side of the transport. And I just snapped off the tab for that, so let's just tab it in on the back. I don't think the Acclimator is quite as iconic as the Venator anyway, but and let's see, I can sort of fake it by nudging it into position, I think. And then putting this top piece on should help to hold it in place. So it's kind of sticking up a bit. So yeah, we broke this one a little, but not so much that it's uncompletable. Because the piece that's the piece that can't be connected can still sort of be faked from a certain angles of view. All right, the base is back on. And as you can see from the top, even though there's pieces being held in place, it's not too terribly misaligned. And here's a comparison. You can see the distinct differences in design between the Acclimator and the Venator, both in shape and then also in the command tower and engine blocks. But you can see they both have the command tower, and you can see they both have engine blocks sticking out the back. When the Imperial Star Destroyer was developed, inspired by these designs, it was made a lot bigger, and the engines coming off the back behind the command tower were shortened so that they were like right in the body. Let's go ahead and put this on the display. I'll display it from the non-snapped side. And then we will, let me go through the stack real quick and see if there's anything else that I absolutely consider essential for tonight. Well, that artillery unit is nice. The Scout Walker's tank. The Artillery Walker, that's a nice unit as well. What's this? Droid Staffs, not totally necessary for tonight. Jedi Starfighters. B-Wings. These B-Wings have cool designs on them, but no. You know what we are building tonight? I'm picking out a few more cards to build tonight. TIE Bomber, TIE Crawler. Why is a chunk missing from that one? I have to check my box. Hold on. There was a chunk missing off of one of my cards. It's not in the box right now. I don't see it. Oh well. It's not a priority card for tonight anyway. But I know who we're streaming tonight. I know who we're rating. Let's see. V-Wings and Droid Fighters. That's... yeah, the hospital ship from the end of Empire Strikes Back. But I'll tell you what we're doing tonight. TIE Advanced, and what's this? A-Wings. Pretty iconic. Cloud cars. I actually want to bring the stream to a close. So we're just going to do 2 more cards tonight. We are going to build this Lucrehawk class battleship. These are the Trade Federation. These are the Trade Federation blockade ships from Episode 1. This one's called the Procurer, and it's a Lucrehawk class. The Trade Federation. They were warehouse ships that were the Trade Federation converted to military purpose for creating their blockade. And in terms of capital ships, it's a pretty, in terms of capital ship pocket models, it's a pretty simple design. The droid control ship from the end of Episode 1 is an example of this kind of this Lucrehawk class as well. It was the center of the Trade Federation blockade fleet. There were 2 other separatist capital classes that they released as part of Pocket Models. I have one of them. So yeah, this is definitely the top side because it's got all the markings on it. The bottom side has some markings too, but they're not as pronounced. You can see the separatist logo right at the front there. All right. I've always liked the design of the Trade Federation battleship compared with other capital ships that they've done throughout Star Wars. They never did anything from a sequel trilogy because the Pocket Models line was discontinued several years before Disney even bought Star Wars. So which way are these supposed to go? I was doing that off camera, sorry. All right. A little command tower area. Now, I don't know if I have instructions for this other card I want to do tonight or not. If not, I'll have to study the card and see if I want to even try it. Alright, so all that's left with the Lucre Hawk is to put on the back section here. Just slide that into the engine block. And we came off the base again. That's alright. We'll fix it. So let's just put it back on the base. And these things are absolutely massive. Probably comparable in size to a Star Destroyer, actually. Many years before there even was an Imperial Star Destroyer. So there it is. And from the side, it's another one that looks pretty flat from the side. This is another one I may fake like the Falcon. Alright, the Acclimator is going to come off of display. Lucre Hawk's going to go on display. Wow. I'm going to see if I can wedge some cards in behind it to give it a little bit of a tilt. But first, let's center it where I want to put the display. Definitely want to have a little bit of a tilt going for this one. And don't want to be knocking it off the base. Alright. I may not be able to effectively display this one. That's as good as it's going to get, unfortunately. You know what? We're going into my final build of the night. Let's do a collage of some of my favorite builds from this evening. Let's bring in the there was something sticky on my desk where I put down the Interceptor. And only where I put down the Interceptor, the things around the Interceptor appear to have stayed dry. Not sure what happened with that. And let's do this one. I really don't see how we can get anything else in there without making it look really cluttered. But let's try to add a couple more of these things. The Razor Crest would have looked really nice as a pocket model. I got 4 iconic vehicles on screen right now. I think that's good for a nice backdrop. Well, you can even see how the arrangement bleeds into the workbench area. All right. Do I have build instructions for this? I do not. It doesn't look like. But hey, let me see. One of them has a rider. All right, so this card has 2 versions of a Rancor on it. A Felucian Bull Rancor and a Felucian Rancor Rider. I'm going to try and build them. I have no instructions for these, though. I can't imagine it would be too terribly difficult. These were promos that were released with the Force Unleashed tin, along with the Rogue Shadow. The trader I got these from did not actually have Rogue Shadow, though. Just the Rancors. That's okay, because Rogue Shadow isn't really iconic, except to Star Wars fans who have played Force Unleashed. Which is kind of weird, because when Disney bought Star Wars, they said that anything that George directly worked on was going to remain canon, and that everything else was going to be scrapped and become legends. But George directly worked on Force Unleashed and Shadows of the Empire, both of which are projects that were put into legends anyway. So, all right, I'm going to do a quick web lookup here. To see if there's instructions. Because if not, we could be doing a puzzle for the end of stream. Give me a moment. I'm looking up to see if I can find instructions. So they released 6 different sets over the 2-year run of the Star Wars Pocket Models game. Base set focused on space combat and introduced the most iconic ships from original sequel trilogy. Ground Assault was the second set. The first set, base set, the premier item for that one, was the premium item, was the Imperial Power-Up Pack, which came with a pre-built Star Destroyer. And actually, let me... while I look this up, let me give you some eye candy. There you go. My little collage that I did. What's that in the back? No, that's just background. Okay. So there's my little eye candy. There's a little eye candy for you. And this bigger form, I might embellish the collage for when we're looking for our raid afterwards. So after ground assault is when the ground units were introduced. And then they did a set called Order 66, which focused on vehicles from episodes 2 and 3. Then they released a set called Scum and Villainy, which brought in mercenaries and bounty hunters. And then a lot of the game's cooler vehicles came from Scum and Villainy. Both versions of the Slave One, the Sandcrawler, there was a Jabba's sail barge, the Skyhopper and Landspeeder card came from that set as well. The Force Unleashed tin was that set's promo release, and then they did Clone Wars and Clone Wars Tactics based on the cartoon, which was having its first season shortly before the game went defunct. Alright, that's unhelpful. Now that's Lego instructions. Yeah, I found an archive of the site with building instructions, but didn't include the promos or the it didn't include the promos or the Clone Wars Tactics new models. So actually, I'm gonna go over to the Wayback Machine and see if I can pull up a snapshot of the site from back when the game was active, and see if I can find instructions. Probably not. Wayback Machine is unreliable. It starts to become unreliable the farther back you go in history. And this game's been defunct for 12 years, I'm tempted to say. So what we want to do is we want to find... Alright, that's the latest snapshot of the page. I want to see if I can't get to a snapshot of the page from right before the game went defunct. Checklists. Ships and cards. Okay. That's not going to help me. That might itself be too late. Let's check this snapshot. 2008 sounds about right. I'm not sure, but... for some reason, that date's not loading. This was, let's see, the Force Unleashed 10 would have been the Scum and Villainy set. So it would have been towards the end of the line, right before they started all the Clone Wars stuff. And sometimes on the archive, the sites load with images, and sometimes they don't. It all depends. Let me see what it was back in the day. I might be on a fan site. Now I'm just wasting time. Yeah, so that was Star Wars Pocketmodels.com. That was actually the community site. Let's go back to archive and try and look up from WizKids.com. They were the publisher. It's going to be hit or miss whether we get the instructions or not. But I would say as close to the end of the game's line as we can, because the website did remain up for a week or two past the beyond the sudden closure of the publisher. And WizKids was later rebuilt under a different parent company. But I want to be able to do these Rancors. I'm just going to check random dates. All right. This looks like it's going to load as the WizKids site. And it looks like some, but not all of the WizKids Mania. This may not even be the official WizKids site. Hold on. Let me try games. You know what? Let's get some more eye candy in there. I'm trying to compose this effectively. That's kind of... This will come in from zooming in from off screen. This one's too flat from the front, I think. Yeah, that's not going to show up well, especially in this collage. I might actually have to make this one come in from the other side, kind of like that in front of the slave one. But this one at least is visible from its side. But I kind of want to show off the iconic shape as well. All right, now it's starting to look cluttered, but let's bring in a couple of the ground units. Let's bring in this one, and this one. We'll just do a hint of it coming in from behind. And then this one's a little smaller, and I can probably get away with bringing it in on this side. Making it. This one I want to have strictly from the side, though. Yeah, it's blocking the X-Wing. Let's move the X-Wing a little more forward where it's going to block. So the X-Wing is now flying in front of the Falcon. Let's turn it a little bit towards the camera so you can see the wings. And Slave 1 is now lost in the jumble. Maybe I can move it a little bit closer. Alright, now Slave 1 is less lost in the jumble. Alright, and then one more. I definitely want to have the Sandcrawler in view. That's too big. If I move that forward a little bit, I can then bring in the Sandcrawler. Behind the Interceptor, or even right here in front of the AT-AT. But now the AT-AT, the hint of AT-AT coming in from off screen. But then the Interceptor, I want to have the Interceptor in there. Yeah, this is kind of a little cluttered scene right now. Not even really a scene, because you've got Imperial and Rebel ships hanging out together. And one little Clone Wars ship in the front. Well, big Clone Wars ship in the front, kind of holding the whole sequence together. So let's see, can I see all? Yeah, I can make out all 9 in the video. All right. Let me come back here and see if I can't figure out. I need to find a snapshot of the site from when it was actually functional. Wow, somehow Archive got a lot of snapshots. All right, let me just... So we've got a whole bunch of Rancor body parts here. Our games. HeroClix, Pirates, HorrorClix. More games? Win a trip to a Disney theme park? That's old advertising. Oh, Rocket Men. That's another pocket model game. That one didn't last long. I'm not seeing Star Wars listed. So what date did we grab the snapshot from? December 2007. So we would want to find something in 2008. Archive.org is useful when you can even partially load the website you're trying to return from memory. All right. Let's go back to that. Ah, crud. Special releases, Battle. Oh yeah, with Ground Assault they did a Battle of Hoth tin, where one of the promo figures was the Hoth Shield generator. Then that was with Scum and Villainy. May 28th, 2008. So I wouldn't find instructions unless it was after May 28th, 2008. All right. Let's see if I can plug this direct address to the Star Wars game into the Wayback Machine. Lots of hits for 2008. So Scum and Villainy itself came out in May. So if I can find a version of the website from, say, from, you know, later on in the year, maybe. All right. All right. Let me just see if I can pull up a Google image search for this and see if I can't reverse engineer it. Oh, there was a Republic gunship too. I didn't acquire that for this stream though. Not that it matters. Yeah, the Imperial Star Destroyer really has very few parts. I'm trying to see if there's a picture of the Rancors that so maybe I can reverse engineer, but I'm not seeing a model. Star Wars Pocket Model, Force Unleashed, maybe. If I can get a picture of the models, I can try and reverse engineer. All right, there's an image of the Rogue Shadow. All right, I've wasted too much time on this. It's puzzle time. You can see all these Rancor parts in front of me. So I'm guessing this is the main, yeah, this will be the main body piece. So, I'm guessing this is the head piece because it's got the horns. All right. Sorry I wasted so much time, but I really wanted. Oh, I need more light over here, that's for sure. If I'm going to be doing a puzzle. I do apologize if things look a little washed out, but I need light right now. Let me see if I can if I can't angle this light such that I can actually make it useful. But I need light if I'm going to work with tiny little pieces that I don't have instructions for and try to work out a puzzle for this grand finale. Yeah, that's not working. Give me one moment to figure out a solution. I could keep the light just off of screen. Let's see, not a pocket shirt. I'll just keep the light just off of screen and below me so I can see what I'm trying to work on. No, that's too glary. What if I try doing it like this? That's not much of a solution. I just can't tell which is supposed to be. I'm assuming that's the hip piece because it's bigger, and then the other similar piece is the arm, is the shoulder piece. But that one doesn't seem to fit there. It comes off the back. Okay, this is definitely the legs. All right. These are shoulder pieces for sure. And those are definitely the bottoms of the feet. One of which is going to tab into the card, the base, I mean. I just put that foot on upside down. I'm making up these rancors as I go along. Okay, and suddenly the head assembly. No, I put these where I said I was going to put the arms. These look like little feet pieces. You know what? I think this is supposed to be the riding rancor, not the blue rancor, because I don't see any way to slot it in. So with that in mind, let's punch out this little rider piece. which looks more in line with this on the card anyway. Now if I put the other foot on, it really does look like it's supposed to go like that. So maybe I did all this section wrong, and this part is supposed to go like that, and then this part is supposed to go like that. And actually, looking at the bottom of the feet, they do twist out kind of in line with how they are on the card. But I'm not sure how they line up on the card. I'll build both Rancors and then see how I can adjust the feet to match the cards, I guess. And then there's this piece, which looks like a shoulder piece of some kind. Is there 2 slots on there or 1? Or is that where the rider sits? I can't even tell. If I put them there, there's nowhere to slot in these arms. But I can't just put in the arms like that because they don't line up properly. Let's see, do these arms have slots? Yes. And there are slots on that piece as well. These Rancors are a puzzle. But it looks like there's 2 slots on these pieces. So if I slot them in like this, and then these pieces on like, so those weren't shoulders. I think those were just a bit of the head, giving the head some dimension. Oh, and I was doing that whole bit off camera. So now if I come in here and put the arms on these slots, then it should look okay, even if it's not exactly how they intended. But maybe I can't see a place to put the rider on, though, so maybe the other one is the rider. But I also don't see a place to plug in on either base. Although the feet line up. The feet line up, but there's no tab there. Let's see how the other Rancor comes out. But hey, I think I figured out one of them. And once I have the other Rancor put together, then we'll figure out which one has a place for the rider and how they're supposed to attach to the bases. Now this Rancor is of a distinctly different color, so there's no way of confusing the two pieces if I was to have them all punched out simultaneously, which I didn't do. I'm punching them out one Rancor at a time. Rogue Shadow is an interesting ship, and it's, given the secretive nature of the ship, it's got one of the secret Imperial cloaking devices. You don't see them in the movies, unfortunately, but the cloaking devices are all over non-movie sources for Star Wars. They were in several novels and games. Force Unleashed had the Rogue Shadow. Rebel Assault 2 had the TIE Phantom program, for example. Okay, it looks like I got all the pieces out for that one. And we'll use this Rancor as a guide for putting that one together. So, and I'll also go ahead and put him in the middle. While I work on this one. This one doesn't have the big horns in the front. But what this one does have is... Okay, so it's got this big piece up front. Okay, this one looks like it's got hard to say exactly what's going on here. But yeah, the shoulder is on. Same basic template for this Rancor, and then we'll figure out which one is supposed to get the rider. This one has an extra slot. I'm assuming that's for the rider. Let me just see, because I can't tell which way is supposed to be front. Yeah, the one I'm building right now. The one I'm building right now is definitely the one with the slot for the rider. The rider, I mean. So the rider sits on top like that. We have the hip piece in place. So yeah, the Bull Rancor will be the one with the big horns in the front. Sorry it took me so long getting set up to do the Rancors, by the way. I tried to find instructions and failed. I think it's cool, Rancor rider. I mean, Boba Fett did it recently, but... Now this one only has one of the little feet, I think. Yeah, those are the head pieces. And this is the shoulder piece, I think. Yeah. No, that's the shoulder piece. But this is the piece that will allow me to put the head bits on. Just trying to line up the shapes as best as I can. Since I don't really have anything else to go by other than the general shapes. No, that's not right. As long as I keep the creature roughly symmetrical, I don't think exactness matters when I'm lacking instructions. I would have preferred to find the instructions. Yeah, that looks like a jawline down there. I think I put him on. Alright, this one only has one. This one looks like it came with only one foot piece. Unless I got the foot pieces confused in terms of color. Even though they're distinctly different colors, it's hard to tell because the foot pieces are in shadow. So this is definitely the Rancor with Rider. The question is, do these foot pieces line up is the question with the slots. No, they do not. I'm not sure what to do with the Rancor feet. But let's go ahead and give this Rancor some arms. And we've been going for 3.5 hours. And it's well past midnight, so this is definitely the final build for the night. And I already know who we're going to raid. So there's 2 Rancors, and I don't know how to get this Rancor though. There's a not so subtle tab on the bottom of that foot, implying that this one goes onto the single. Did I mess up? I know there's the Rider. So yeah, that foot appears to go into that tab perfectly. Did I forget his other foot piece? Did I forget to punch out a piece somewhere? Okay, so both of the feet have tabs on that one. Does he not have symmetrical feet? Yeah, it looks like I punched everything out. that was on the card. There's an even foot, another even foot, and then on this side 2 feet with tabs. So yeah. Those are the even feet. So yeah, in order to actually line him up with that though. So in other words, I'm missing a foot piece. Because I just checked and they're all punched out. Oh well, we got the Rancors mostly figured out. Alright, let's just tell you what we're going to do here. We're going to do this. You have some eye candy to look at. And the Rancor is going to enter frame somehow and attack. Wow, that's very close to the camera. Rancor is in attack mode. And with that, alright, just kidding. But this Rancor is also going to come in now. The bigger Rancor. And now that you've seen the Rancors, let me, I felt something drop when I pulled that out. Is that the missing foot? No. I see a spot on the floor that could be the foot. It is not. Alright then. We're just going to call it. So we've got a little bit of a scene, a little bit of a show off going on. But the Interceptor seems to have gone off. No, it's right there. Okay, whatever. It's good enough. And I just bumped the camera, so let's put everything back. And so yeah, I might do a part 2 where I do all these other cards I didn't get to tonight. I can't believe we've gone 3.5 hours. How many cards did we end up doing tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We did 14 cards tonight, but with Pirates, I average about 3 minutes on a normal ship build. So yeah, but these were more complex and a new model with each one. And I'm rambling. I'm tired. Let's get a raid going. Who's online right now? Uh, John Lee Music is on, and I know he'll be on for a while because he usually is a late night streamer. So we're gonna raid John Lee Music. Have a good night. And tomorrow, Morrowind will be given its May celebration uh, initial stream. So I'll see you tomorrow for some Morrowind, and there'll be plenty more Star Wars content throughout the month. So let's go enjoy John Lee's music and have a good night. Let's go let's couldn't keep the flood out of his eyes. Nice, he's singing the song. We raid into the song that he wrote for his daughter. Since you made your way into my life, 'cause you are sweeter than the sweetest honey, the nectar of the gods do not compare. If I could write a song for you, my honey, I sing to everyone everywhere, 'cause you're my honey girl.